I think hiring remote, it is a ridiculous unlocking. So when I look at American workers, it is the most expensive amount of money. I mean, the compensation difference is crazy. And what you get to do with that extra money is you get to overpay tax, you get to invest in marketing, you can buy more vans, you can do whatever you want.
We're about 8 months into using Avoca, and Avoca's been an awesome partner for us in our call center. So what Avoca does for us is they do two different things. One, they have their Coach product, and Coach has been helping us do what it says. Coach our CSRs every single day. It listens to every call and uses AI technology to basically pick apart that call and tell us where we can improve. And for the last 8 months, we've been consistently improving our scores, which has been awesome. The other product they have is just conventional booking. And it's an AI tool that books over the phone. A customer calls in and it either handles overflow, as in our phones are full, or it does nights and weekends for us. And a customer will call in and actually deal with an AI agent all the way through booking. And the savings inside call center has allowed us to ramp up our marketing to continue to grow even more. Thank you, Avoca, and thank you, Tyson, for your partnership.
Welcome back. Ooh, some voice modification.
Two owned and operated.
John,
we're back.
Don't sound so sad to be back.
I know.
Energy.
I know.
We need to get you some Celsiuses.
Dude, I know. I'm already one deep.
Go.
I know. It's quarter one. All right. So quarter one, I'm a different version of me than I am in quarter three. But yeah, it's quarter one.
Does your family know this? Is it expected?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I crack a lot of jokes that aren't really jokes about how I just like weep blood from February to May.
You sit in the corner and cry. Lots of
just weep.
Lots of sadness.
Just openly weep.
So
it's awful.
This is a great segment into talking about why joining home services is so much fun and such a great thing and everyone should do it.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Yeah, look, quarter one really sucks. Now, what I am really excited about is we have our stuff together this quarter one, or at least I think I do.
Do you feel like this is the first time that you can say that you feel like it's all together going into Q1?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something about my last February that's maybe going to make. Last February we did 60,000 in sales total, all of February.
I don't know what that means. Like, give me some perspective.
60,000.
What was January? What was the day before?
200
or month
plus
before?
So
oh wow,
we haven't gone under 200 in gross sales any month except last February for like the last year and a half. And the difference in like your life and how much my anxiety and heart hurts
oh my gosh
to get 60K in sales is such a miserable experience. I don't even want to think about it.
Well, yeah, I think, I think I was explaining this to you, and I think I was definitely explaining this to my wife. Quarter one is like the train that is about to run you over and you just can't stop. Like you just like, you can't stop it. You can't do anything about it. Now, what I think is going to be absolutely like, you guys will hear it twice a week to hear if we're doing a good job or not. But we went into this year like freaking ready to go. And a huge part of it was like way more access to financials. So like timelier financials, our daily reporting that we've talked about, like that was a huge freaking win. We no longer have to wait till month end. Like we can make actions every day.
Decisions, big decisions that affect the business,
big decisions,
whether it be discounts or whatever you need. Yeah. That's huge.
So we're able to like be super proactive. And I think we've really gotten to know our overhead numbers a lot better. Like we understand our break even, which I know that we're going to hit 30 some million this year, but like, and I know that I should have had a better handle on my break even years ago, but like, look, I was busy and we acquired some businesses, whatever, but like, we really feel good about this. So, So it's never too late, but, so like, no, we feel really good. So, our overhead now, like we know it's going to be 755 this month. And we've gotten more and more minute with our tracking. So now we're actually tracking actuals against budget every week, especially during Q1 of like, we are tightening the freaking hatches. So access to data has been huge. Like how we think about staffing has been big too. So what we're going to be talking about today is the remote staff, how to use it inside your business, how we use it inside our business. And then Jack has a project called Quick Staffers.
Yeah, huge disclaimer. We started a project called Quick Staffers. What we saw in the market was this incredibly large opportunity to help bring overseas folks at reduced cost, and in my opinion, some of them have higher quality, and then bring them and put them into kind of CSR, dispatch, or outbounding roles, which a lot of them have a huge amount of experience already doing. So, just big disclaimer.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about. Yeah. Good disclaimer. We'll definitely talk about call center, but like we use it elsewhere too. So a big part of our, like we now have really supported our other teams a lot in HR, accounting, marketing, definitely call center and dispatch, but it's been a really big win. And the reason that matters is like labor dollars. We're going into Q1. We have to batten down the hatches. Historically, we've done layoffs during Q1. Sometimes it's just a couple people. The most it's ever been was 8. If you can hold on to your field staff because you're more efficiently managing your overhead labor, like that's a big win.
Yeah. And that what I tend to see is that overhead labor is where the creep happens, right? It's like, you start to creep, one more headcount here, 2 more headcount here behind office, and they're just not revenue generating. So at least when you see it from your technicians, right? You hire one, they're supposed to be generating revenue. If they don't, you can easily cut the bottom. But with the back of office and kind of the in-office staff, it really does creep. 1 more headcount here, 2 more to support this, your bookkeeper, It
suddenly you have 3 parts runners. You've got, there's a lot going on. And some you just can't offshore. So, over the years, we hired our first, we've said this on the show before, but we've hired our first overseas in 2019, I think, or 2020. It was roughly around COVID. I actually think it was a little bit before COVID. And it was in Jamaica or something.
It's cool that you said. So real quick, before you start, like this project, the coolest thing that I've noticed, and I didn't realize that, dude, Jamaica is fire for overseas talent. I didn't realize the infrastructure.
Well, the wages are great. English is their first language.
There's enough bleed too from the US into Jamaica that they understand the nuance that's sometimes lost when you go to different countries, like the slang and the sayings. They utilize a lot of the same cultural, the cultural verbiage that we do in the US. Sorry.
Yeah. No, Jamaica was good. Jamaica. We had no issues with Jamaica. But so we got exposed to it from there. And the original reason is just cost savings.
Yeah.
I think something that I think is absolutely fascinating. I think we've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. So obviously we're like very comfortable with remote talent. I think we have 20 people, like contractors around the world, and very comfortable with it. Active part of our team. Takes a different, we got used to it over the years, but I think it's like I'll talk to friends at running good sized businesses, like 20, 30, $40 million businesses. They don't have a soul like offshore.
US,
And I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, I actually don't understand how you are doing that. I think they probably have less people. I mean, they must, because you just don't have that many dollars to spread. So we have a higher head count, but our payroll's probably lower. But I do think it's fascinating. Like, I'll have friends be like, hey, I've actually never hired remote before. How's that work? And I'm like, dude, you're running a $40 million business. How has this never come up before? How have you never tried to save 70% on your freaking office wages?
100%. Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, what the heck?
It was a huge unlock for us personally, because as we were trying to grow above that 5 million mark, you remember how tight.
There's no money.
There's just no money.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I need a bookkeeper. Oh, I need a nighttime CSR. Oh, I need someone to do outbounding. Oh, I need somebody to do inbounding.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been a huge unlock behind us to be able to actually have somebody whose full-time job is to call out and try to book calls or a full-time job to try and close open estimates. And then somebody whose full-time job, especially right with the cash cycle being so tight, is AR. Like your only job and how you get graded is making sure you collect all this money. And that's following up daily, because if you're not, those are the things that, the $160 invoices, they beat you up once it climbs to 100,000. And so that's been a huge unlock for us, is to really make those specialized, those turning generalists into specialists and then making them those specialists. That's all they do. That's all they're graded on. And it makes it so that we can make some awesome SOPs and KPIs.
And we talk about this a bunch in our Breaking 5 workshop too, of like, we're like, hey, here's, you need a recruiter. If you're serious about growth, you need a recruiter. And everyone's like, where the fuck am I going to find the payroll for that? I'm pretty sure you can figure that out. So it's a huge unlock. And our strategy, the way we've handled remote, like offshore hiring for a while now, some people have different ideas. You pop off, do whatever you want. Some people like fully offshore, like even call center managers, just like everybody's offshore. We're a big believer of, we want the heads of departments here, and then we can support them. So I want to make, like for accounting, I want to make a great investment in an awesome controller. Like I want the best I can get, and I want to be able to afford them, and I want to be able to pay them the money they deserve for doing an awesome job. And a part of how we get there is by paying much less for the other roles, because we're able to put them offshore. So AP clerk, AR clerk, even we just brought on a staff accountant in the Philippines, and that was a really big win. And the compensation difference is crazy, like $60,000 a year, I think, compensation difference for the accounting staff accountant in the Philippines.
2 questions for you. We're at 6, you're at 20. How do you feel about quality? Because I know that's what historically, right? The idea has been cheap.
Yeah.
They're cheap and they're just poor quality. I hired somebody and then they just didn't do a good job. What's your view on quality of candidates and making sure they work in the business?
We had some like posts, or I had some posts like go, not like it just, they went far, maybe a week ago. They went, And like, we basically just talked about how we compensate our call center team. It's like, okay, here's how we compensate them. Drop the base comp, raise commission. So what happened? They started winning. One of the reasons we did that was, I consider like creating jobs in my community an important part of what I do. I've shared that here. I want to improve my community, and I want people to make a good living. Like I want people to make a lot of money. And that's an important part of like my ethos of running a privately held company. It was really frustrating because when I hire American, I have the option to do so many other things, right? You can hire American, you can hire overseas, or you can get AI. And those are the 3 options you have with basically anything administrative. Like I can do any of those 3 things. I can automate your job with a software, I can hire someone overseas, or I can hire you, an American worker. And so when I look at American workers, I'm looking at the largest investment that I could have made with that set of choices. Like it is the most expensive amount of money. And it was so frustrating because I'm looking at like the software and its performance, which is Avoca. It's been great. And I'm looking at our Philippines team, and then I'm looking at our American team. And like our American team, my biggest investment is performing the lowest. Now, holistically, I have a few of my team members are absolutely incredible. And like they're totally killing it on the new commission structure. Like they're doing an incredible job. But as a whole, if I had 8 people in America and 8 people in the Philippines, I had 4 people in America that were killing it, and then 4 that were just like not even like doing anything basically. And then the Philippines were like all at the top.
8 out of 8
of performance.
Yeah.
Like it genuinely bothered me because when I'm hiring American for administrative talent, that's a conscious decision to make an investment in my community. I'm like, okay, I'm going to invest in this human. I'm going to like give them a great job. I'm going to give them really great benefits. This is going to go back into my community. That's great. And when I get like absolute dog shit performance, I'm like, what are we doing?
You know how
I can just go to the Philippines and pay 70% less. Like, yeah, it just feels like such a terrible ROI.
But what's cool though is the way I look at it is I don't look at it, and maybe this is just me being naive, but I don't look at it as we are getting rid of that, right? By me lowering my total cost of administrative work, I'm actually able to pay my technicians more, right?
You can pay techs more. You can pay leaders more.
I can pay leaders more. I can pay the local team more. So yeah, I'm taking away one position from the U.S. economy, but vice versa, I'm also paying,
you get to hire better managers.
Hiring
and that's my example with the controller.
Yeah.
I was able to up the budget for our controller position, get the best I could. And a part of that was because my overall accounting budget could support it, because 3 out of 5 of those seats are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So no, I totally agree with you. But I think from a quality perspective, it really annoyed me because I was getting better quality for less money, which like in your mind, you're like, oh yeah, like it's going to be bad, but it's literally not. Like I was getting better quality. Like their call scores were better. Their number of book calls were better. Their booking rate was better. Like everything was better. They sold more memberships. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, what are we freaking doing here? This is crazy. So yeah, it really bugged me a lot. But we did optimize pretty early, which we optimized pretty early around accent, because that's probably the biggest thing that's going to impact quality in your call center is like, how strong is their accent? Mm-hmm. Like you do have to care about that. Good or bad, I don't know, but like that is a reality of calling in. You want them to sound like they're local.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of that revolves around specifically, in my opinion, too, the type of business. So we are in an emergency service role, right? Where when someone's calling in, it's because their basement's flooding or their house is cold and their toddler's 2 years old and it's negative 24. Like they need somebody there. It's an emergency situation. Everybody's on edge. I would think that it would go down a little bit if it was more like a fencing contractor, where it's still important that the accent is minimal, but not so much as when you're in an emergency situation. But I talked specifically about this to my 3 CSRs today who are all overseas. And I asked them, I said, hey, you've been here for over a year, 2 of you. Have you had any pushback? One of them had pushback one time that really? He wasn't in the US. And then the other lady who works for me, she said, no, not once has anybody actually had any issues or had any pushback. And so it's nice to see that. But I mean, traditionally, like we are in the South, so you would think that, whether good or bad, not speaking bad about the people in the South, but there is a stigma around that. And luckily, it hasn't been an issue too far, because that's what we also focus on really heavily, is making sure, at least for those kind of consumer-facing roles, that right. The accent is not.
Whereas, like with accounting, we don't care about we don't care about your accent.
We care that you're really good at accounting. So
but if you're talking to people for collections, you do need to be able to speak.
Oh yeah,
like very clear English.
Yeah, exactly. Where these invoices are coming from, et cetera, et cetera. So talk to me about just on the holistic, right? What kind of roles you have? People in accounting, you have people on your call center team. Where else are your...
FieldPulse is the all-in-one field service management solution built specifically for field service teams. FieldPulse is designed to simplify your day-to-day operations by combining everything that you need into one platform. This includes multiple integrations with other softwares you might already use, like QuickBooks Online or Desktop. With advanced tools and features for scheduling and dispatching, CRM, estimates, invoices, project management, team communication, and a detailed reporting and insights, FieldPulse will transform the way that your team operates, saving you time and finding revenue potential you didn't even know existed. Whether you're a small business looking to grow or a larger company ready to scale, FieldPulse gives you the tools to increase productivity and keep everything running smoothly. And don't just take our word for it. FieldPulse has earned over 580 glowing reviews with an average of 4.8 stars. That's Field, P-U-L-S-E. Head to their website to learn more. That's fieldpulse.com. And because we know how impressed y'all are going to be, we got you guys an exclusive limited time offer. So make sure you mention Owned and Operated and get 15% off their annual plan with FieldPulse now. Check it out. We have them in accounting. We have them in marketing. Recruitment has been a big win. So we have 2 folks in recruitment. They do handle tech-facing calls, which I was actually kind of uncomfortable with that for a long time, but they kill it. What's been the really big win there is we get to get hyper specific. I think that recruiters, like, I'm a big advocate of like hire a recruiter as soon as you can.
Yeah.
I think even after that, recruiters need to become specialists. So if all you're doing every day is hunting down HVAC techs, install and service, like, you will be successful. If that's literally all you do.
Anybody listening to this, I know this is going to come out in a few weeks, but anybody listening to this who doesn't have a recruiter, not even using me, send me a DM. I'll help you out. Go get a recruiter right now. Go get a recruiter right now. It's a huge win, but also, John, like, now is the best time. So all those tech layoffs that we've been hearing about for like the last 6 months or whatever, it was all overseas recruiters, overseas hires. So there's these like extremely qualified candidates that are like, they were going after really high end, software engineer jobs. And like, they're really good at what they were doing and getting conversions over. Like, they know how to work the LinkedIn system. They know how to work all these different like back channels to hire really good team members. And they're available.
Our recruiters used to hire nannies, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Oh, that's cool too.
So like, interesting background check problems. Like, it was, it was interesting, but like, they're very good. They're really good. And I like the idea of, I think a recruiter should probably only focus on like a maximum of 4 total positions. So now we're building out our recruitment team. Like, hey, okay, you are 4 total positions. You are 4 total positions. I think we might bring on a third, in order to just absolutely maximize candidate flow. Because I think once you have more, it's like, you can do Facebook groups, you can do LinkedIn, you can do TikTok, like, you can do whatever you want and just sort of like source much more directly your candidates.
Which, I mean, but it's crazy though, because like a recruiter, so to contract to a recruiter is extremely expensive. It's like what, 10, 15% of whatever the candidate's going to cost, or something ridiculous like that. Or you hire in-house full-time US, and you're looking at almost, I mean, in some cases, a 6-figure position. I don't know about where you're located, but I know when we looked at a full-time recruiter / HR rep, like, it was up there. It was high 5 figures, low 6 figures to get somebody who had basic recruitment knowledge, knew how to use Gusto, get people put into the system, kind of onboarding specialist as well. And it was extremely expensive. And we ended up, bringing that position on, and the person's been with us now for probably 3 months. Yeah. And amazing team member, absolute fraction of the cost. So it's been really exciting. I mean, still to this day, I mean, I tend to be the manager for a lot of these positions, just because we don't have the head space or the head count for upper management locally. But interesting. So there's amazing positions that you can outsource. What, in your experience,
I'd say most of them.
Who's hired,
like, we have friends. So we have friends, like, I think we talked about this on another episode, but like Isaac in Chicago, and he's been on the show a few times now. Listen back, like, he has 50 or 40. It's some ridiculous number. Like, every single administrative position except for 4 is in the Philippines, and he does that so he can overpay his techs. And then he has an advantage in recruitment. Rich, Jordan, he's been on like 3 or 4 times. Like, his controller is in, I don't even know where, Colombia or something. So you can outsource a lot of positions, and you really just have to like get comfortable around, like, what do you want on the other side of the world?
A new crazy one that I've been running into is actually expats. So people who have like gone down to Colombia that are from the US originally.
Yes.
Like, hey, this was a controller at Ford, a motor company. And then he went down to Colombia, retired down there.
Yep.
And now he doesn't need a US salary. So he takes a reduced salary because the cost of living is so low that it's kind of a win-win, right? They get above market, but also not US market. So very interesting options there.
Yeah, I think hiring remote is like,
it's a huge unlock.
I mean, some positions you save 30%, some you literally save 70. Like, it is a ridiculous unlock. And what you get to do with that extra money is you get to overpay techs, you get to invest in marketing, you can buy more vans, you can do whatever you want. But it also gives you access to specialists before you could afford them American. You can hire multiple recruiters. I could never do that. Like, if we were just American. I could never have the call center team we have if we were pure American. Our marketing team would be half the size because I wouldn't be able to afford it. It's been a win. I'm still like fascinated when I talk to people that don't have overseas. I don't even know.
It's fascinating because it's a huge point of leverage, right? There's like technology leverage, cash leverage, and people leverage. And it's this giant lever that or leverage opportunity that not a lot of individuals are using. We focus on AI or we focus on all these other leverage points, but people leverage is so important, and to be able to hire 3 or 4 for the cost of one is like that just doesn't make sense why you're not doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what people run into they hire their first VA, right? They go and they say, "Oh, overseas talent. Yes, I've heard so much about it. I listened to Owned and Operated. I heard Jack talk about it. I heard John talk about it. Yeah, we're going to do it." And they hire it. 2 weeks later, that person's gone. Like, what is the differential? Like, what makes it a win?
Yeah.
What is the training key here to making those kind of positions work?
Yeah. I mean, I think what we learn with any position is like, what's the daily communication cadence? And then how effectively are you training? So what's the first week look like? You have to train really well. There's no hallway time. There's no, hey, let me catch you for this idea. Like, you have to really proactively communicate. And what we've consistently learned is you need daily check-ins. These are team members. They need feedback. And I would say more feedback, especially because they don't get the hallways check-ins. So like, we have start of the day, like, hey, what are you going to do today? End of the day, what did you do today? And that's been really important for all of our positions. Non-call center. Call center, it's pretty straightforward. Like, how many calls did you take? How many calls did you book? It's a little bit more straightforward. But like, accounts receivable is more complicated. How many customers did you talk to? How much money did you collect? Those are important. Or like recruitment. So it is really easy to sort of put people on payroll, and then because you don't see them every day, they can, like, performance can suffer, and like, you might just not get what you want. So you do have to build this communication check-in. I think that's probably our biggest tip, because when it has not worked, it's when we didn't have daily, like the manager wasn't doing a daily check-in.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely communication, because just like any other team member, they are remote. They don't get that water cooler time. Agreed there.
Yep.
I think the other big one that we found is a huge win for the team is SOPs, like in-depth SOPs.
How clear is your process?
They're extremely good at following process, but they are not very good at the nuance and deviation. And so it's how do you build a process that's going to work every time?
Which the important thing there is simple. Like, is it simple?
Simple.
Like we've had to, the bigger our remote staffing has gone, it's actually been good for us because we get forced to simplify a process. We're like, oh, this is like 100 steps. Like, we went from 95 job types to like 28. Because it was simpler. And because of that, it was better. We made less mistakes.
Yeah.
Because there are just less. So we've made a ton of process improvements because we had to simplify, because we had to communicate on the other side of the world.
I'm bingo. There's no better way to say that. Like, we went through the exact same thing as we started off with our CSR processes that were like, in this case, you book this and it's going to be this much. And then in this case, you book this and it's going to be this much. Yeah. And then finally, at the end of the day, we're like, why is booking rate suffering? And it was because of us. Like, we weren't setting the expectations and the nuance. Well, if the call board's not full tomorrow, you need to book at this rate and do this. And it was just like, no.
It's really easy to
reset. Book every call, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if that's a $0 to get out on site, we're booking every single call. And then we'll let dispatchers. The other week we booked something silly like fire hydrant, something or another. And I was like, we don't do that. But the dispatch team now, our dispatchers are local.
Yep.
They caught that and they said, okay, we actually don't do this. Right. But at least they booked every call. Like, that's now the singular one goal is you book every call and you keep a high customer satisfaction rate. Yep.
Just book it. Yeah. Bingo. No, I totally agree.
But the end all be all was keeping it simple, but providing at least some sort of SOP and guardrails for the team to work under, because they're not here to sit in the office and chat about, oh, well, if tomorrow's full, like, it's going to be, discern what's going to be the best option. No, there's no discerning. They need it black or white, which has been kind of a lot of lift over the last year and a half for us to try and figure out what's the best way to do that. And it was keeping it simple. Don't overcomplicate it.
So how does Quick Staffers work?
So right now, Quick Staffers works we get a call in or a letter of interest from you guys, and we go ahead and we start you on the onboarding process where we start asking questions about your business, right? Because what we're trying to do is we have a list of SOPs that we are referring to right now and scripts for outbounding, inbounding, how to follow up on estimates, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not going to be, it's not going to be a cookie cutter for every business. It's going to depend on your specific business. If you need more outbounding, we can focus on outbounding. And in this case, that's what I'm going to use as an example. And so we take this great potential placement. You interview with them. You say, oh, I like them. They're great. They'll fit in our business. And then we run them through a 2-week training course where they'll be up to date on whatever home services category you're in. So right now we are only focusing on plumbing, HVAC, electrical, but we potentially are going to do roofing here in the near future. We'll get all those SOPs. We'll give them a 101 training course so they know the difference between a septic tank and a sewer line, or a electric water heater and a gas water heater. They'll have
so you're handing over like trained CSRs.
Basic trained CSRs, sick. And then they have the SOPs. So they'll be trained on the SOPs of, hey, I work on House Call Pro. Here's how you enter someone in correctly on House Call Pro. Here's how you enter someone in correctly on Service Titan. So that as they take the calls, day one, they'll know what they're talking about and they'll be able to put them into the system. And then,
all right. So the advantage here is like you're getting somebody hired, vetted, and trained. Like handed
vetted,
over,
and trained at half the cost of hiring local.
I think like the train part is, because I know when we've tried to work with recruitment agencies in the past, it takes a lot of time, and then you have to like still go through all the stuff. So it sounds like you're trying to solve all that.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get as close to possible. Once again, every business isn't a cookie cutter business, right? We're not all running the same John or Jack script, and so there is some nuance to it that we are trying to work through at the moment. That being said, though, we're going to get them as close as anybody can get them to day one, being able to go into your business, answer a phone call, and book the call. That's the goal.
Yeah,
book it properly, and and save you some time and money. And so, a lot of our focus recently has been on the outbounding side because we noticed a lot of sub 5 million companies don't have outbounding, and for us, that's one of our. I mean, it's one of our top channels. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a huge channel.
Huge part for us. Yeah.
I know through the workshops, right? Through the workshops, one of the big pushbacks we get is, Jack, how do we hire people?
How do you pay for it? Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. How do you pay for it?
How do you pay for it? But also it's like, how I can't afford that. Or it's like, what if, I can't afford another tech because my capacity constraints. And then you start asking them questions like, hey, are you calling your customer base? Are you talking to them once a year, twice a year?
Yeah.
Are you following up on memberships, or do you wait for memberships to call you? And then you start to like open these doors and you see, you're not doing any of those things. You're leaving money open on the table. I mean, I'm not going to throw him under the bus here, but we had a gentleman on the last workshop who was almost to 5 million. He was at 3 million doing an amazing job. Shout out to him. He knows who he is, but he wasn't calling any of his customers ever to offer anything. And I'm going, man, you're almost to 5.
It's a huge unlock.
And
it's a huge unlock.
You have so much free marketing open.
Yeah. Well, like leads you have already paid for.
Yeah.
If you pay $100 for a lead, like that's a lead that you can continue to like regurgitate. Like you can call them back, you can text them, you can email them, you can do a bunch of different stuff.
Or, hey, 2 years ago, we went out there and we did a maintenance on your 12-year-old system. It's been 2 years. Like you want a cleaning, like let's do a coil cleaning.
Yeah.
Anything, because that's a 10+ year old system out of warranty. There's probably not working. It might have a leak in it.
Right.
Like, there's just so much opportunity. And we noticed, at least for us, that was one of the big unlocks. And we noticed a big area of opportunity where you can pay for this person. They're answering calls after hours. They're outbounding. I mean, there's just, it's a no-brainer to me.
It's a huge unlock. Yeah. It's a huge unlock. All right. If people want to talk more to you about this, like how do they get a hold of you?
Right now, go ahead. And I think the best way is to DM me on Twitter, the HVAC Jack. We're putting up the website right now, quickstaffers.com. It'll just be an interest form. Go ahead, drop the details, and someone will get you back to you pretty quickly.
All right. So if you want a recruited, vetted, and trained home service inbound or outbound call center agent for half the cost, Quick Staffers.
Quick Staffers. Yeah.
That's a pretty compelling sentence.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Make sure you also check out ownersandoperated.com for the Breaking 5 workshop. I know I said this last time too, but I'm pretty sure we're almost sold out. I suspect we will soon. And then I think we're probably going to do the next one in August or September or something. Yeah. And I think we're keeping it to a year for now. But yeah, we are talking about doing these like little micro ones where call by call or warehouse, or I think that'll be kind of interesting. I don't know how I'm supposed to actually manage that.
Ask, how is your doing like
my real
job?
Dude, I don't know.
I only run a $30 million company, but also I do these micro and
it's fun.
macro.
I mean, this is fun. Like it's a lot of fun.
Also DM John if you want us to do a 10,000 person massive event.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have Holco Conf coming up, and this is our third year of Holco Conf. I don't know if we talk about it a lot on here, but like Holco Conf is this like, hey, if you want to acquire to grow businesses, like Holco Conf is cool. Check it out. Holco Conf.
But that's like smaller still, isn't it? I mean,
it's 130 people.
I mean, that's still not like 2,000. It's not like Main Street Summit or something where it's like a 3,000 person event. Like that's what I'm ready for.
But this is our third year, and it's fun to throw an event that like your entire freaking job is to spend $500,000 so that people have a good time. And that's like your outcome. It's like, I just hope people have fun, and it is fun. And we ended up partnering with Mike Girdley to run Holco Comp this year. So I have a lot less like responsibility on it, which has been good. It's been a lot of fun, but I really want to do a home service one. I want to do like,
there you go.
I want to do like 500 freaking people in Cleveland, or like Miami is probably Cleveland. I don't know. And like blow it up. I just think it'd be fun. It's fun to throw those huge events and like have awesome speakers come in. And I think it'll be fun. We talked about it for this year, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it'll probably happen next year.
My only request, if you do it, or if we do it, is that we do it in a ski location, just like you guys are doing with Holco Conf.
Oh my gosh. Dude, Holco Conf is literally, it's at Sundance Mountain Resort. Like the afternoon sessions, which are normally like, it's been mountain climbing and bowling and like how to cook. This year, the afternoon sessions are literally skiing.
That's all I want to do.
It is so good. It's so good.
Oh, that's going to be so neat.
Oh man. Yeah, it'll be fun. I do need to throw an absolutely massive home service event. I think that'd be fun. I think the advantage of like throwing a really big one is you get to like the price points get to be different. So you can do like $500 or something and like, boom, let's go.
Yeah. I mean,
it'll be fun.
More of a community, like it brings everyone together at an affordable rate. Yeah. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Sweet, man.
Thanks for tuning in. Check us out next week.
Bye.